Welcome back to our channel. Today we're recapping a 2019 drama-adventure film called William. There will be spoilers, so watch out. The movie opens with a ferry moving across the sea. Inside, a young man named William looks quietly out the window. When the camera gets closer, we notice that his face looks different from other people's. We jump to a lecture by Professor Julian who talks about Neanderthals. He speaks in a rude and sarcastic way, calling them stupid brutes and wild savages. He talks about the time of Darwin and Sir Francis Galton, when people thought they could judge intelligence just by someone's appearance. Julian then reveals that the only non-fossilized Neanderthal remains were found on their campus by Dr. Godwin Thomas, and the specimen was named William, after William King, the scientist who first said Neanderthals were a separate species. Julian ends by suggesting they should use the DNA to bring a Neanderthal back to life. In the audience is Dr. Barbara Sullivan, a medical doctor with a PhD in reproductive endocrinology. That night, she meets Julian at a restaurant to talk about cloning William. She explains that the process will be difficult but possible. Curious, she asks why he is so focused on Neanderthals. Julian takes her to his lab, shows her carved stones made by Homo sapiens and one made by a Neanderthal, and says humanity could learn a lot by bringing our closest cousin back. With permission from the university, Julian and Barbara begin the long cloning project. Years pass, and the work becomes the center of a huge debate about ethics and whether cloning should be funded at all. Finally, the university president, Bob Claiborne, shuts the project down. Julian and Barbara are heartbroken after giving everything to it. Barbara suggests finishing the project in secret. Julian asks who will carry the embryo, and she answers that she will. They marry in Nevada, and months later, Barbara goes into labor. The nurses are shocked by the newborn's unusual appearance. Julian and Barbara see their baby, the first modern Neanderthal, William. Julian rushes to the university to inform Bob, who is furious and wants to fire him. But the board convinces Bob that the university might be blamed if they try to punish Julian. Instead, if they embrace the event, the publicity could be huge. A week later, a press conference is held. Julian shows photos of the baby Neanderthal and proudly says William is not related to him or Barbara biologically, but he still sees himself as the father. We return to present-day William on the ferry. Now 18, he goes with Barbara to a quiet forest house where he will stay with Julian. She hugs him and reminds him he can always come home. William explores the house and sees the Neanderthal stone displayed. On the balcony, a couple in a canoe stare at him awkwardly. Then Sarah, Julian's new girlfriend, arrives and introduces herself. That night at dinner, Sarah comments on William's appetite, and Julian explains that William's body needs about 20% more calories than regular humans. Afterward, Julian proudly tells Will how happy he is about his progress. He and Sarah try to teach William English basics, but Will struggles with jokes and figurative speech. During a lecture, Julian explains how people reacted harshly when William was first revealed to the world, almost disappointed that he wasn't a violent creature. Will grew with intelligence equal to or higher than other children, and his immune system is unusually strong, which could help medical studies. We learn that Julian and Barbara divorced because Julian wanted to treat William like a test subject, while Barbara refused. Julian, what happened to my brilliant scientist partner? Barbara, I'm a mother. Barbara, I need to take care of my son. Julian, he's not your son. Julian, Barbara, wait. Julian, please. Julian, Barbara, I'm sore. Barbara gets custody and raises William in a healthier environment. Julian still visits often, watches William's progress, and spends time with him. A few years later, while biking in the woods, Will is attacked by a group of teens. They insult him and chase him, but he easily overpowers them with his strength. Their parents complain, but no one believes them. Barbara warns him never to fight again. One day, Will searches online about Neanderthals and is upset to see them described as dumb savages. Barbara begins dating Ted Roper, making Julian even more distant. Years later in college, William takes a test, but breaks his pencil because of his heavy grip. After the test, a girl named Judy asks him to help her study and rehearse for an opera performance. But he already promised his friends he would go camping. He agrees to help her afterward. At the campsite, two hippies join the group. When they learn he's a Neanderthal, they are amazed. One asks if he ever wishes he could go back to his own time. He quietly answers that he does. Barbara and Julian then attend a meeting about Will's struggles with standardized tests. His mind works differently, so he needs tutoring before reapplying to college. Julian is furious when he discovers Barbara withdrew Will's application without telling him. They argue about Will's future. Barbara wants him to work on the island, while Julian wants him to move in with him and see the world. Ultimately, the decision will be William's. Will walks on the beach with his friends. They talk about college acceptances. Judy got into Columbia, while Will still doesn't know his path. Later, during a meeting with both parents, Julian says Will's immune system could help millions. After thinking carefully, Will decides he'll try for university again, but only if he earns his place. Julian is thrilled and brings him home to prepare. Back in the present, Julian checks Will's progress and becomes angry at the slow results. He blames Sarah and throws the test paper at William before leaving. Tears fall down Will's face. Sarah comforts him, saying his scores are actually good. She takes him for a walk in the woods and talks about how her parents planned her life for her, just like Julian is doing to him. Their talk becomes gentle and personal, and Will kisses her. She returns the kiss. That evening, Sarah puts the flowers Will gave her into a vase. Julian arrives angrily, asking where they've been and why Will isn't studying. Will goes to his room and falls asleep, holding the Neanderthal stone tightly. The next morning, Sarah drives him to the test. Will breaks his pencil again, then the second one. He watches the other students working easily, gets frustrated, and leaves the room. As he walks through town, people stare and laugh at him. He visits Dr. Godwin, who shows him the perfectly preserved Neanderthal he was cloned from. Will realizes that just like the ancient remains, he doesn't belong in this world. Sarah contacts Barbara after Will disappears. Meanwhile, William sneaks into Julian's lecture.
Is a Neanderthal. His name is William. He's a dumb brute. A grunting savage. A caveman.
William interrupts the lecture after Julian started to describe what Will's role in future is going to be.
William. Not now. And not here. This is my work.
Your work. You don't know anything about your work. Your work is a failure.
No, William. You're a failure.
Outside, Julian tries to apologize and begs Will to go home. Will refuses and says Julian is not his father. Julian slaps him. Shocked, William drops the Neanderthal stone. Julian tries to take it, and Will hits him with it in fear. Students film everything and mock him, calling him a caveman. Will runs away. Police, Sarah, and Barbara search for him. When the police find Will, he is frightened and remembers past attacks. Sarah tries to reach him, but is held back. William steps toward the officers, as if accepting what will happen. Sarah screams, but the police shoot him. Later, Sarah visits the site where the Neanderthal remains were found, holding a small child in her arms. presumably William's child.